Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rescue World podcast. I am Jose Rodriguez, founder of Rescue a Generation, and we're excited. Look, we've been in some really, really fun conversations, and I want to just kind of intro this. If you know anything about Rescue a Generation at all, or if you've ever experienced any of our ministries, somebody described kind of what we do sometimes at our conferences like this. They said, I feel like you look for the hardest topic to tackle, and you're like, let's go do that one. And they said that, I remember in 2020 when the racism thing was just such a big, prevalent conversation, and we were doing manhood camp, and at manhood camp, we have so many, black and brown kids. And I felt like there was a lot of like broad strokes of like racism conversations across the board, but I felt like there wasn't a lot of people engaging young people in that conversation. And we took a stab at it. We said, like, let's lean in and let's have a conversation. And that really is the heart of what we do. And so today's not going to be any different. And I have a friend, a guest here that you've seen here before. Normally he's behind the camera. Well, only in this context, he's behind the camera, because also at our assemblies, he's on the stage, and our conferences, he's on the stage. So he's on the stage all the time, y'all. But welcome, Pablo. Thanks for joining me this morning.
It was a long travel to get here, but we made it.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm happy to have this conversation today. I think it's going to be a really good one and a fun one to lean into and see. Yeah, what we can kind of take away from this ourselves, and also from what our viewers can take away from this.
Yeah.
So just checking in with you, Pablo. How's life?
Yeah, life is interesting right now. Going into year 3 of marriage.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I think last time I was on the pod, I think I was just barely married, like a couple months.
Yep.
Now year 3, and man, just learning that, like every day is a new thing to learn about being a husband, being a leader of a household, and that, and then, balancing work life, I'm obviously balancing a marriage, and then personal life as well. And so, it does get a little tiring, especially the work that we do here. So I've had to teach myself to not bring this home, because a lot of the frustrations with students, with teachers, with like just in general.
With me.
You know what I'm saying? He said it. We go there, all right? Yeah, like even at RAG, like there are little things that it's easy to take this work home. It's not. This is. I told you this before. This ain't a normal 9 to 5, right? Like it's like a warehouse job where you just like clock in, clock out. This one, like, it's a ministry, and I think. I'm going into year 4 now. I think I'm barely realizing and learning, understanding, like, oh, this is a ministry. Yeah. It's like, we get paid for it, and that's a blessing. But this isn't a regular 9 to 5. Like conversations we've had, like there is a sacrifice that we do, or at least me, I have to put into play when I say yes to work here. And
not just you, it's everybody. Right? I think. Calling always comes with a sacrifice. And I think that's really how we try to create our context here. We want people here that feel called to be here. And then it says a lot about a person, that what you're willing to give up, what you're not willing to give up. If it's convenient, then it's not calling. Yeah. And you know what I mean? Yeah. And so then if it's convenient, then go work a regular job and be convenient and, do what you want to do. But if it's calling, it's different. It's like, man, I have to adjust some things. I have to arrange my schedule. I have to like give up some family time. I have to, and I feel like we've tried to at least create healthy rhythms and balances for our team. The whole like 4 days on, 3 days off.
Oh, like, that's a blessing.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
A blessing.
So, but it is. It's we want those here that like feel like, man, I'm supposed to be here, and I think you're one of those. And I think it's been that way from the beginning. Even though in the beginning, well, I would say I felt like you belonged here from day one, but I don't think you felt like you belonged here from day one. Yeah. And a part of our conversation today is going to be around like just kind of that growing up like process in ministry. Like how do you mature and how do you continue to rise above like your own emotional like, barriers and bandwidths and blind spots and And yeah, just how do you become like I was thinking about this on the drive here, like the Apostle Paul in Corinthians said, like, man, when I was a child, I spoke as a child.
Right.
Now that I'm a man, I put away those childish things. And there's a lot of times, man, that I'll find myself back into like that childish like mindset, or like I told you, we'll get into it in a little bit. But even last week, man, I had a moment where I was like, oh, that wasn't how I wanted to show up for that. You know what I mean? And but that was when we started here. Pablo, you came in young, full of. You had passion, but you were also hurt, and that was very clear. You were very like honest about like, nah, I'm cool on this, like you know what I mean. But also like I felt like you were down. You were like, hey, I'm here for this. Like let's do this. What was coming in like for you? Like I know what I experienced from you.
Yeah.
What about on your end? How was it coming in the rag?
Yeah, so I didn't know what we did here. I just knew where like the position I was in life, about to get married. I needed a job, and this is back home for me. Like when we reconnected, I was in LA, and so an opportunity to move back home.
The 9 side.
The 9 side, you know what I mean? 9 side, baby. Opportunity to move back home, and just have a job where I knew this was a faith-based workplace. I was like, this is great. But I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know exactly what we did on campuses. And then when we started doing like the trainings, this is before even Gap, when we started doing the trainings and we had to write a forgiveness letter and we had to do this and we had to do that. And I was like, why am I leaving here frustrated? Like, I'm just so like, I'll be getting upset just from like past things that I've never dealt with, that I didn't even know that I needed to heal from. Like, to me, I guess I thought healing at the time was, oh, I'm just gonna get over it eventually. And but no, like being here, I've done the work. Like even processing the whole thing that's going on with my brother, processing church hurt, processing losing friends and people who I consider family, or just even the feeling of being like you're like they turn your back on you, right? Like I when I walked in here, I knew I was done with ministry. But I didn't realize this was still ministry, right? Like I knew I was done with ministry. I did it. I was like, I don't want to be a pastor, and I just feel like, So that I don't want to go ahead, but when I walked in here, didn't know what to expect, and literally, but I'm a very open book though, so that was a good thing too. Like,
what kind of?
Okay, I mean,
you're way more open now.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I feel like you show the cards you want to show.
Yes.
Or at least that's how you came in here. You were open about certain things, and you were very open about certain things.
Yeah.
But you, like, I think like back to like when you first started here, your brother, you weren't open about in the moment, right? Like, I only remember because you had that one like blow up here in one of the trainings. Like,
I walked out.
Literally. Well, because that's what I'm referring. Because I'm like, I knew you were like really open about how you felt about certain people and church and all of that, right? But then there's those other like moments where it's like, well, am I really?
It's so funny
open?
you said that, because I remember the moment where we were in the training, and I don't know if it was Nelson teaching, or it probably was he was doing the pain week, and I remember I said the whole spiel about my brother, and one of the coworkers turned to me, he was like, is that true? Like, is that real? And I said, yeah, it is actually. It's funny you said that. I remember now, like when I said everything about it. Like, yeah.
Well, but I also, I'm not taking away from like you were open though. I'm not saying that you were not open at all. Yeah. But it was very. Well, it probably wasn't that selective. I think this is part of life, right? All of us at some level can find probably those certain areas that's like it's a little harder for us to be like, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready to touch that one yet, right? And that was probably what you were experiencing early on.
I think now working with Gap, like I have a lot of language for what I was feeling at the time. I mean, for sure, like I didn't want that part touched, and so I would work around it, but it made sense because even looking back to people having conversations, and if they were going through something with their sibling and even with students, it's something I wouldn't really go into, right? And I would like run from that type of conversation because I know I didn't deal with that. So yeah.
Well, what was the maturing process like for you? Like you got here, what would you say like the first like moment you realize like, oh shoot, like I need to start like growing in this area?
Yeah. I think day one on campus is at Rubidoux High School when you showed up with me. That day one, I thought because being in youth ministry, and where I was at, I was like, man, my gift has brought me this far. I know I can kill it in front of an audience. I know I can speak well, all of that stuff. But now you're like really, really doing life with these kids, and these are unchurched kids too.
Right.
So now, what do you say when you have like a Castro that's just like, I don't care about school. I don't care about you. I don't care about my family. I don't, and you can't say, oh, with Jesus, because he don't know any of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I think in that moment I said, okay, wow, like I can't come in here just as a regular person that just like wants to bring pizza or something, right? And just high five you. Like I have to understand, man, I have to sit with you now. I have to really have a conversation and listen. Because like you might be the only, in a way, like you might be the only Jesus you ever see. I might be the only version of Jesus you ever see, right? In your life. Yeah. Because I don't know what your future has for you. And so I take that, and now I look at every single classroom that I have, and I'm like, dang, I'm held accountable for these students now. Yeah. Like when I stand before God, God's going to ask me like about each and every student that I had, right? So I think when I seen that and hearing the stories of these students, like some of these students have lived more life than I have, and I'm going to be 28 this year, and they're like 14. Right. And they're like, yeah, I moved from group home to group home. Like this and this happened. Like, I'm like, whoa, what the heck, right? And even you experienced when I thought, I told you, I said, I can't do this. Like this work is not cut out for me. But learning that Pablo's enough, that I don't need to have the same experiences as you. And so I think that was part of the maturing process, because I was trying to think of like, yeah, man, like when I would talk to Castro, he was a gangbanger, all this and that. Yeah. And for me, I was like trying to find relatable stories that I could relate to him with, right? And I had none. And so I would just think about friends that I had, all this and that, and it just wasn't connecting with him, wasn't clicking, until I just sat with him and I said, man, I was literally about to kick him out the class, because I'm like, I don't know, I can't help you anymore. I don't know what more to do. Until I just sat with him and I said, you know what? Like, in a way, I said, I'm gonna just put my guard down. This is me. This is Pablo. I'm not a gangbanger. I didn't grow up that way. Yeah. I didn't grow up in a split household. I have both my parents. This is me. And I think that was when he really connected with me. And obviously he finished off the program and stuff. And now he's really successful in his life. And so, I would say that's part of the maturing process. And then reflecting back here, I knew that this wasn't no normal job. Like I have to, in a way, like keep up with everybody. And not in base of skill level, but I think keep up with like just the vulnerability level, like because we've seen it when we've had people come in and out of RAG that aren't vulnerable, and how there's a huge disconnect with that. Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, you know what, I need to like keep up with everybody else too. So
that's good. Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about how you first came in and starting on the campuses. What I had this kind of visual. This is no shade to people out there that are doing like, campus ministry, Christian clubs, Young Life Crew, Parable. Shout out to you guys. Like, because I think there is a place for the model by which they're sharing Jesus. Yeah. But what I had this thought, this is probably a strong thought. So on the backside of me saying that, I'm like, I had this thought of like, it's kind of easy showing up on a campus with pizza and sharing the gospel message for 20 minutes, even if you're afraid to speak. Yeah. It's easy because there's no dialogue, because people can't push your buttons. Yeah. They can't blatantly disagree with you in that context, because like there's no space for that. It's like, I'm talking, you're going to listen to me. Yeah. And I was just thinking, like, in that first day at Rubidoux, you were in a position where people could have blatantly disagreed with you. Yeah. And while I didn't see anybody blatantly disagree with you, they were like trying to test you. Yeah. Like they were for sure like, nah, like you're gonna like this is my school. Castro was one of those. Yeah. Like, and so it's just interesting the deep work and maturity that I think it takes to like fully lean in and grow in a context like we're in, because these kids could like flat out be like, hey bro, I don't like you.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to you, and I'm not here. I'm not doing none of this. Like, I'm like, and literally it could happen just like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes in those Christian club contexts, there's no room for that. You're there because you want pizza.
Right.
Listen to this gospel message, like respond to it. And I think there's really a value in that too. But I was thinking about, man, like our work is hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And two, like, unless they're assigned to the class that we're taking over, it's optional for them. Like, none of our students are forced to be in the program.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think about my high school that I work at today, that I'm going to today, where, yeah, it's very, it's told out loud, hey, you don't have to be here if you don't want to be here, from the staff. And for me, during the meet and greet, I'm like, okay, I need to pitch this to you now. Like, I need to sell this to you, because you guys have most of them have never talked about success before.
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, like, I'm gonna be upfront. Like, it's gonna be uncomfortable. Like, we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna ask you questions that you probably have never been asked before in your life. Maybe your parents never been asked before in your life.
Yeah.
But just rock with me, right? And so, yeah. No, I definitely feel that. Like, it is hard for what we do, because we don't have, like, all of our incentives are at the end, right? Like the $100, like everything. So we don't have that thing that we can dangle over, like a pizza, right?
Yeah.
Or just a quick, like, lunchtime thing. Like, we have a full class period most of the time. And I remember one time, Rubido, I told one student, I said, I forgot who it was. I just said, man, I'll be honest. Like, if you don't want to be here, like, you ain't got to be here. Like, don't waste my time. And I was just so over it. Like, I was so over the whole, the environment. Like, they weren't listening. And he was like, oh, hey, cool. He got up and he left. And then a student raised their hand. They're like, yo, can I leave too? And I'm like, dang, like, I really just bummed this one, you know? And so,
wow.
Yeah, so it's all optional, because they can go back to class. They have a class to go back to.
Yeah.
So,
No, the part about it that I think is really interesting is the level of maturity that it takes to put yourself in a position where people can actually push your buttons.
Yeah.
And then like, you have to be able to respond to that in a certain way that's not going to get you in trouble. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, and so, what keeps people, from your perspective, Pablo, in immaturity? Like, why do people stay immature?
Yeah, I think they're not willing to listen. And I think when I could look back when I was a youth pastor, when I hopped in, it was during a transitional moment. And so there was a lot of people who liked the last person, leaders who liked the last person. So when I jumped in, they were like, oh, I'm kind of feeling called to be out, this and this. And they were telling me all their struggles, their complaints. And I said, okay, bye. Like, cool, God's going to provide. And I think that's one thing I kept saying, thinking that, like, oh, one, it is true, God will provide. But I kind of hid behind that. But really, I was hurt, because I was like, what do you mean? Like, is it me? Like, is it?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think they're unwilling to listen, because even in my first semester at Rubido, I was just trying to, like, flex and just say, look, you guys aren't in charge. I'm in charge here, because I knew what was happening. I knew what was going on. Never been in that position before. And so, yeah, I think, like, not willing to listen to the other person, for sure, because I can even give an example in marriage. Like, when my wife is trying to communicate to me how she's feeling, and I'm choosing to not listen, or I'm distracted, or I have my listening, I have, like, these filters on, right? And and it can go left really quickly. So I think I'm not willing to listen, and not willing to just be okay with, hey, in a way, like, hey, this is my feedback for you, and even if it's negative, to not receive that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if I was to even peel that layer back a little further, I think people don't listen when they're not fully healed.
Yeah.
Because it's like, don't touch what's already hurt, and I know it's hurt, and I'm not willing to let somebody else, like, poke at that. So there becomes this, like, defense mechanism that almost keeps you dwarfed in a way. Like, it keeps you like I think of every time that I respond, and I'll go into, like, last week. We were in a staff meeting, and we were talking about some of our cultural norms, which are not new. We redid them so they feel a little new, but they're not new. We've been about these. And I was presenting an idea that I felt like, oh, our team should understand this. I feel like our team, they should get this. And then it felt like they didn't, or there was like some pushback to it. So already I went in with an assumption about our team that I bet if I didn't have that assumption, then maybe there's some like openness for me. And then literally one of our team members pushed back, and it wasn't pushback. No, it wasn't pushback. They shared a part of it that they disagreed with. And to me, that's not pushback. Pushback is like, no, like you're wrong. He wasn't saying that I was wrong.
Yeah.
There was just a certain context by which I was saying that he's like, no, I don't agree with that.
Right.
And when I am healthy and when I'm like my healthy self, I love, I can genuinely say this, I love difficult conversations.
Yeah.
I love being in them. I love because I feel like God's graced me for them. I feel like I can have them. I feel like I can be open. I can listen, and I can navigate it. I can also listen to what they're saying and like their heart behind it, and so in any other day besides last Monday, I feel like I would have responded so well to that. Even on Thursday, I would say during our coaching and consulting hour, the same thing happened from a different person. When Jacques, he shared something that didn't sit right with him, right? Yeah. But I felt healthy Thursday. I felt like I'm in a good spot Thursday. And I was able to sit with that without getting defensive, without shutting him out, without shutting me out. And I was like, and was able to we made some progress in that conversation, right? With the first conversation, I don't feel like we made much progress in. And as I was just evaluating, I said, why did I put so much energy in that? Like, I felt like I was defending myself. I felt like I was like, there was just this like weird thing. And looking back, I think I was tired.
Yeah.
Like, we had a pretty busy weekend of ministry. It's Monday morning. I'm came in late. So already there was like all of this stuff was like kind of coming up against me. I wasn't healthy that morning. Yeah. And not to say that I'm like categorically not healthy. That morning, it was a rough morning. Yeah. And if I was self-aware enough to be like, all right, y'all, let me get myself together first before we lean into this. I should have been, but I wasn't. And so in my immaturity, I responded with a lot more energy and like emphasis on stuff that I really wouldn't have. Yeah. And to me, I think that speaks to like when you're immature, there's a level of like almost hurt where you take things personal. Yeah. And this is what makes you so guarded, because if it's all personal, then like you can't attack me. Right. And it's hard. It's hard to get out of that. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, because like it almost takes somebody telling you to get out of that, to get out of it. You know what I mean?
No, facts. Yeah. And I think too, we talked about this before we started recording, but one of the biggest things that I've learned in my past working in ministry, we would always have people be like, yo, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, I'm this, I'm that, right? And or I just want to quit, or I just want to take a break for a season. I need a Sabbath, all that stuff, right? I want to take a sabbatical. And one thing that the first question they would always ask is, oh, like, how is your rest? Like, have you taken a nap today? Like, have you slept well? And literally, like, your physical. Yeah. And because there's so many moments where I would say, like, I know you said you came in tired. There's so many moments where I would say, like, I've had a rough weekend, and now I gotta go into a class with 30 middle schoolers, and that are all just that they've had a rough weekend. Yeah. Right. And now I'm trying to teach this content, but they're disengaged. I'm mentally almost checked out because of what's going on at home or wherever it's at. And I think if I need to do that grounding where it's like, man, I've had some classes where I just say, hey man, hold on, y'all, like my bad. Let me just take a breather real quick. I know I'm not here mentally. Yeah. And I'll just be honest, like, man, I'll be honest, like I had a bad weekend. Yeah. Any of us have a bad weekend, and then they will all start relating, right? Yeah. Like, because you don't have to hide that part. Like, that's man, good. I'm tired. Like, and because they're tired too, right? Students, and even for the youth workers out there, like, man, I'm sure your students are tired as well, right? Yeah. Like, they don't want to. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure they're not listening to you, or they're doing the opposite of the advice you gave them because of what's going on. Yeah. Like, they're over it. They're over life. And so me learning that, even with people too, and coming in here to Rag, like there's been times where I've walked into Rag And you told me that was the feedback you gave me. Like, man, when I'm on, but when I'm off, like it shows. And I'll walk in here just like, dude, I don't even like. I'm be honest, I don't want to be here today. Like, I don't want to work today. So yeah, that's when you said that.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I'm in my brain right now. What I'm processing is like I'm trying to formulate the like equation here, right?
Yeah.
Like what contributes to immaturity in ministry so far. I've heard like obviously a lack of listening.
Yeah.
So not being willing to listen. I think there's like pain.
Yeah.
Like so when you're wounded and you're trying to still go.
Yeah.
And you're not addressing the wound, like you just kind of automatically put yourself in a context where like, you know, this is just going to be dangerous. Because you could lash out on people. It could be a lot of that. And then there's the like physical rest part. Like you actually just might be tired.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but like when I'm in the natural, when I'm just like really sleepy, I get goofy. Like I get like, I just start like playing around a lot, or when we're like on road trips or something, and like I'm doing weird stuff just because I'm trying to keep myself awake like, and so. Yeah, I think that same thing shows up. Anything else that you feel like contributes to people's like immaturity?
Yeah, I would say, and this is speaking from my own personal experience, the need to feel like you have to prove yourself. Because I've had that here so much where I felt like I had to prove myself that I can do this to you.
Oh yeah.
That I can be an effective coach, that I can work with students. But that all stems back even from just my past, right? But then that bleeds into everything else. And learning that now, man, shout out to Awakening. You know what I'm saying? Because for those that don't know, Awakening is this training that we do, like a 3-day, 4-day intensive training where like it was just wild. I'm gonna get to that in a second because there's a dope story with that. But yeah, like learning that this like. Me feeling the need to prove myself doesn't just bleed into work or ministry. It bleeds into like my marriage, to my family, to everything else. Because after Awakening, I'm learning, okay, dang, like it's only me and I only have my older brother. That's it. He's not around. And so I have this feeling of, dang, I need to be the one that makes it in the family. Like I need to be the one that like my parents are proud of.
It's good.
In my marriage, like, man, me and her, or she comes from a line of just divorce, like, or just like not getting married, just separation, right? And so me, that's completely opposite. I come from like families that were just been together, all like my parents have been together all my life, my grandparents, all that stuff been together all their life. And so for her, even when we got married, her biggest fear was like, dang, I don't want to repeat what my family's repeated. Yeah. And so now I have that pressure of like, okay, like, well, we're not. And now when I move, when I operate, it's like proving to even myself that like, no, that's not going to end this way.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I have that weight on my shoulders too. And it just bleeds into everything. And even to students. And it's funny, now I think back, we did the training at Turner Campus. And remember when you said like, oh, why do you feel like you have to talk a lot? I think it's to prove myself, like to prove that I'm valid in front of you guys.
Oh, like that you have value. Like
what I'm saying is valuable to this audience that I'm in front of. Because I've had that with leaders in the past. I've had where I feel like people look at me like I'm not. I can't do this. So then my response to that, instead of like asking and now I do that with you, right? But in the past, it's like, man, I'm gonna operate in a certain way where like I'm gonna prove myself. Yeah. But 9 times out of 10, I land up falling on my face.
Well, because that level of like proving yourself will always be shallow. Yeah. It always is like void of substance. It's void of like the real uniqueness and power that you possess. And so like you're almost in trying to prove yourself, you're showing a counterfeit version of you. Yes. And that's not just you. I feel like people do that in general. Like, like when you live in that, like, man, I got to show up. I got to prove myself. I got to do X, Y, and Z. You're really showing people not a true version of yourself. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you can't go accomplish things or like, but when you just like go and just check in with yourself, am I being authentically me? Yeah. Am I sharing what's on my heart to share? Am I showing up fully myself? that's where your real power is. Like, that's where like all the like, man, it's beautiful there, and like God can use that. I heard Mike Todd say this a lot, but like God don't want to use the fake version of you.
Yeah.
Like He actually wants to use your authentic, like real self. Now, it's not to say that God won't use the fake version of yourself.
Right.
That's one of the misconceptions in ministry is God uses fake people all the time.
Yeah.
And like, because I think He cares more about His children than your ego.
Yeah.
So He'll let you like be used by Him in a very real way. It's just interesting though.
Yeah, and everything comes to light at the end of it too.
Yeah.
Like even when that performative spirit or that performative type of personality, that's what I had, and I didn't realize that until I went to Awakening, where it's like then you get language around it.
That was fun.
The reason why we laughing at Awakening is because just to be honest, because in order for us to promote here at RAG, to move up in the company, we have to go to Awakening.
Yes, they do.
Like that's like given. And
well, let me tell you the why behind that real quick, and then you can tell the story, because the why behind it. We went through this 4-day training. Shout out to Gap. We've had Gene and Nathan on here. We went through this 4-day training because somebody who has coached us told us about it. So off the strength of his word, I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And it was honestly one of the top 2 or 3 most like transformational moments of my life personally. And when you're doing transformational work with students, when you're in the trenches, in hard conversations, you're hearing about their trauma, their pain, I feel like it's irresponsible to ask them to transform and you not be willing to.
Yeah.
And Awaken, in a lot of ways, kind of puts a mirror in front of you, which forces you to either I'm gonna start to transform here, or I'm gonna rebel against it or push back, and that both happen usually simultaneously.
Right, absolutely.
But just that's the real heart of why I'm like, no, like if people are gonna promote here at Rescue a Generation, that means number one, we're serious about transformation in the lives of young people. Yeah, and we can't do that unless we're serious about our own transformation. You can't it's just not possible. So yeah. So just the why behind. Other than me being a dictator and like
so I was giving Jose what I felt was the runaround, like, man, I guess I have to find a new job then. Like, I guess
he literally said that multiple times. I guess this ain't it.
Yeah. And I told Jose this before, like I was trying to call your bluff, where it was like I thought I've had it in the past where people would make exceptions for me, and so I was like, man, he's got to make an exception for me. Like he's got to do it. Like I know I'm doing good here. Like I know, I know I'm a key player here. But no, you're like when I told you, man, I guess I'm gonna find a new job. You're like, yeah. I'm not so shoot. This is crazy. But no, then honestly, understanding, man, even though sometimes I don't agree with my leaders, God honors like still the obedience behind it. And I knew that I wanted to be here at RAG. Mm-hmm. There's ain't no question about it, where it's like I've thought about, man, I'll just get another 9 to 5. But like when you think about that and you think about the work we do here and compare it, it's like I'm gonna be so purposeless over there, man. I'm gonna just be stuck in just this 9 to 5 circle and probably making good money, right? And but it's just for what? Like and so I remember telling my wife, I said, man, I'm just gonna swallow my pride and go, and let's do it. And so it made it better because BJ went with me. Yeah. And so we were going there together, and I didn't know what to expect just from the stories that I heard. And I was just like, I was ready to put my guard up for everything. I said, no, y'all ain't gonna break me. Y'all ain't gonna do this. Y'all ain't gonna do that. And so I remember when we got there, and day one, I'm not gonna say what happens there, but like, just from day one, I was looking around. I said, "This is not real, man. Like this is like because you have all walks of life in there. You have people who have failed business owners, failed marriages right here. Like this person did this, and they're just trying to like find a new step in life. And there's young guys, like older women, like younger women. And I remember you guys went, you and Erica went, and
we were on their team. Imagine us sitting in the back of the room while the training is happening in the front of the room, and we're watching, we're also praying just for the participants and all that. Yeah. But like also imagine that from Pablo's perspective. Like,
right.
His bosses are in the back. Like,
Yeah.
he's already in a performance conversation. So there's already like, I got to go do X, Y, and Z here. Yeah.
And so there was a lot that happened there, but I think one significant moment was when we were all in the circle, and then forgot the person's name, but
Shannon.
She stood up, and shout out to Shannon if you're watching this. She stood up. I didn't even talk to her at all at the time. I didn't talk to her. I had no conversation with this woman. And Regine asked her, like, who can be more vulnerable or something like a question like that here today. And I just seen her face turn to me. Oh, Pablo. And I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, what are you trying to do? So I stood up and I said, all right, y'all on vulnerability? I'll give y'all vulnerability. And so I stood in front of all these people, in front of Gene, the founder of Gap, for my bosses, and I said, look, I'm only here just to get promoted. I don't like being here. I think this is a cult. I think this is this. I was going in. And I remember Jean was sitting down in the back, and she stood up. And so I said, all right, cool. I'm going to get the head of the snake then. All right, cool. Like, I must have ruffled some feathers. But she handled me so gracefully.
That's Jean.
It felt like I was talking to my mom, where like I felt the love of like a mom. Like, she really cared about my transformation.
Yeah.
But also too, she cared like, hey, if you don't want to be here, the door's right there. She literally told me that. If you don't want to be here, the door's right there. And I was like, like, so I was like, dang it. But then I remember
of calling
too.
Bluffs.
Yeah. But I remember too, which I think for me and you, this was like a really huge step in our relationship. When she had, like, when I told him, like, oh, like, my bosses are here, no, I didn't even, nobody knew my bosses were, that you guys were my bosses until the very end, when I told everybody of this whole dialogue. Cause I remember she had asked me a question about Rag and man, how do you feel about Jose and Erica? And nobody knew the context. Nobody knew that they were in the room. And so I was going, oh, it was mostly, it was just you. Mostly you.
Yeah.
Not Erica. And so I was like, yeah, I think Jose is this. And I was going in like all the negative things you could think of, right? And I remember I said something, because she said, okay, how do you feel? And I said, I think I'm going to get fired. And everybody was kind of confused, and she's like, well, why do you say that? And I said, well, because my bosses are back there. And everybody's like face turned, like, what the heck? Like, how do you even say that? And I thought I was done, and Jean looked at you and she's like, go forward. And now me and Jose are in the middle of the circle. Here we go. Like, I'm a very prideful person. I didn't expect this either of her to do that. And there we are in the middle of the circle. And yeah, I think in that moment is when I just, okay, this is Pablo now. And because I remember you had said, like, man, like, if Pablo shows up this way from now on, like, look out, world. And so even from that performative aspect, that changed everything of how I operate here.
Yeah.
In a more mature way. Because now I'm like, you don't see me as a kid. You don't see me as the same broken kid that first walked in these doors, that took a shot on me. Like, dang, you do hear me. I do have value in my word. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect every day at that. Like, there's still moments where I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, am I even, X, Y, and Z? But yeah, I would say even in the maturity conversation, like, man, having those hard conversations, because I've never had a boss like you that like has an open door policy. Literally, like, we can go to your office and tell you, I don't like this. All right, cool, let's talk about it. When I've had bosses in the past, leaders in the past, I would be like, all right, cool. Well, hey, man, here's your check, and have a good rest of your. But you don't do that, and yeah, like, I'll even not think of a question to you, like, how do you get to that? How did you even get to that point where it's like you allow your own staff to tell you to your face, hey, Jose, I feel like you operate this way. Yeah. What is that?
That's actually a really good question. And you said a lot about the awakened moment that I don't want to but I'll answer your question first.
And I say it because I know when I was a leader, when I was a youth pastor, I had people on my team that when they would come up to me and tell me, man, like,
you just dismiss it. You're not seeing it the right way.
Yeah. Or I get defensive, or I'm like, dang, are you against me then? Like, or do you? Yeah.
I don't like my answer because I don't want it. I don't want it to sound like I'm this like uber spiritual, like you know what I mean, like. But there is a level of like deep spiritual work that it takes to position yourself that way. And here's like my honest to God truth. Shout out to Maxon over there. My honest to God truth is I feel called, and I mean like called. I feel like the Lord put his hand on me and has equipped me for the life that he's called me to live. And that's going to be around people. Because I feel called and I feel really secure in the calling side of that. There's this like inner like knowing of like, and it really don't matter like what people push up against.
Yeah.
And it really don't matter. And I'm not perfect at this. Like I'll give a couple other instances where I know I still show up immaturely.
Yeah.
But there's this like inner knowing of like, man, it's okay to disagree, and it's okay to like, but part of I'll tie it back to the calling, because I feel like God don't let me get away with stuff that people do.
Yeah.
Like I literally can't. I will feel like deeply convicted. In fact, me and Erica last night, we went on a walk, and there's a conversation I need to have, and all of my flesh and all of my petty and all of my like natural tendencies to be childish and like immature, I wanna be that way.
Yeah.
I wanna treat others sometimes like they treat me. I want to.
That's the truth.
But
yeah.
but I can't.
Yeah.
I literally can't. And so because I can't, I think one of the maybe fears that I have, like if there's ever a fear because you can't respond the way you want to respond, is I feel like people sometimes can take advantage of that and take your like niceness for weakness, or like, you know, whatever that might be. And at the end of the day, like, God is so sovereign.
Yeah.
And he's not a man that he'll lie. And he didn't put Jose didn't put himself in this position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is probably the thing I'm the most confident in. Like not my giftings, not my leadership, not my like more than anything, there's this like real confidence in the call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, and to me, that's what, because of that, I think I heard Jeremy preach this one time, like, you don't get the call without the cup of suffering.
Yeah.
And it sucks because sometimes, bro, like Erica and I would say this sometimes, like, bro, depending on the day, we feel like we're a villain in almost everybody's story. And and for what? Like, if people know us, they knew who we were. Like, man, we ain't out to harm people. Like, we genuinely care about people, and yet there's all these stories that come up, and like, you know, narratives that people and I'm not saying we haven't contributed to things, like, 'cause we have, but if you genuinely knew us, like, we're not out here. But I feel like, man, like that's like, it's that calling that I'm like, I couldn't do it. Yeah. And don't mean I don't want to. Does not mean I don't want to, because I do, on multiple occasions I want to. Yeah. I can't, like, literally can't. The Lord won't let me. Yeah. And that sucks, bro. You know how many times I have to like delete what I'm posting, like, because it's a subliminal. Yeah. Like, and I mean it. Like God is my witness. There may have only been. You follow me, right?
Yeah. That's nuts.
Do you see subs on my stuff?
No.
There may have been once that I was like, and this is me just being like full of myself, when I was in that immaturity. There may have been once where I was like, just something like people kind of taking your blueprint or something like that. Like honestly, like once. That's it. Like, because literally, I promise I've almost posted a lot more than once. Like, but it literally, like, I felt like the Lord convicts me every time that I get ready to fall into that immaturity side of things. And I don't like that either. I'm like, let me do it. Like, so it's weird. I don't know. Well, I'm not trying to sound super deep.
No.
Because, you know, I'm just a regular dude. Like,
because I can even think back in moments for me when I was in leadership, or even me working here or anything like that. Like, 'cause you said it best. Like, man, God put me here. And I read the book by Charles Metcalf, God Chose Me. I thought it was going to be corny, but it's so practical. Like, no, God chose you to be here, so nobody else can get you out of here. So even for me, like when people try to challenge me, or in the past, or the immaturity side of me would be thinking, no, like you're going against what I feel that God chose me here. So now I'm trying to sit here and validate, man, no, God chose me, But that's why I'm sitting here going back and forth with you, and I'm in an immature place because I'm trying to validate the fact that God chose me. But we don't need to validate that. Like when we know that God chose us, for all the youth workers and pastors, like no matter what I can even think back in my youth ministry, or when I was a youth pastor, and so many moments where I operated as an immature person because I've kept having to feel like I had to validate myself. But no, like I just wonder how much more effective I would have been to the people around me, not just the students, but the leaders around me, if I walked in there with the confidence, like, no, God chose me for this. Like nobody can take this away. Yeah, God chose me for this. And if I do get like position moved out of this, it could be because of my own immaturity, my own negligence. But at the end of the day, God's still gonna take care of me. Yeah, because I can even think like, it's crazy because I tell a story all the time. Like you showed up at the church at the very brink of when I felt like I was gonna transition out, and I'm just like, I told you this a while back. Like I can see God's hand in my life, literally as I look back, because I transitioned out of there. And I wasn't even looking for a job, but you approached me with it. Like, hey, we're hiring, like come to an interview. Now I'm here. I could just see like, man, no matter even in our immaturity, in our ways, because I would say I contributed a lot to me, like having to get transitioned out, all that stuff. But God still like.
But even you saying that is such a mature statement.
Yeah. Because when I got here,
because how often do we not? Well, we also just don't acknowledge our own contribution to things. Like,
no, absolutely. Like I can think back to the role I played, and even to the role I play here sometimes when it's like I've missed the mark here. But yeah, like even in our own immaturity, it's so amazing that God is still is so gracious with us, and it's like, man, because. I don't know where I tell you this all the time. I don't know where I'd be if you've never showed up in the picture. I don't know if I'd still be in ministry or doing something else. But man, God positioned you in a time and a place to kind of cater me into my transition out. Yeah. And to now I'm here, and now I'm doing all this work internally here. Yeah. And now I'll never forget when I hung out with me and my wife hung out with Isaiah and Naomi, and this is only my first year at RAG. And my wife was like, we were out eating ice cream somewhere, and she was like crying, telling Naomi like, man, like I because of RAG, my husband is now this way, like he's healed in this way, and she sees it. I don't know like what kind of husband I would be if I wasn't here, you know what I mean, or if I wasn't doing this internal work, you know. So. Yeah. So when you said that, I thought like, man, no, God chose me, and that's the maturity you thought we have to have.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like, and I know we're running up on time, but I'm gonna try to avoid getting a little preachy here, but there is something to say about just the theology of God chose me. Yeah. And the level of security that brings to a person. If you look at like a story of Jonah, while I don't think of his story as like a highlighted story of like follow Jonah. Right. No, because like God chose him. He ran. Yeah. God swallowed him up in a fish, spit him out in Nineveh. Has this radical revival happen on Nineveh. God did what God said he was going to do. And then Jonah, in like Jonah chapter 4, he goes and pouts about it. Yeah. He's like really angry at God that God did what he said he was going to do. And but like if you think about like God choosing Jonah. Yeah. In every transition, he was still chosen. In every running, he was still chosen. Yeah. In like every aspect, he was still chosen by God. There's something really deep about that. One of the things that I feel like I am, somewhat healthy in is I have a little bit of a understanding of when people transition. Like I feel like God graced me with just hey, that's a part of life. And I say this here at RAG quite often, like all transition is from God. Yeah. That means if somebody gets fired,
Yeah.
that means if somebody quits on us in the middle of something, that means like, and it doesn't mean that God is like telling them or us to do it. I just think God knows how to utilize transition.
Right.
And when we stop looking at transition as like a negative thing or an insecure thing, when it's not about me and it's about like just what is God up to?
Yeah.
That, and this literally tends to be my question in light of transitions. All right, what is God up to? Right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I feel some way about the person, because that might still be the case. So like whatever that may be, but for me, the response comes from the calling. What is God up to?
Yeah.
Because he's up to something. Like he
yeah.
ain't got me out here by myself doing nothing for no reason.
Yeah.
And I think I can literally like look back at my life, Pablo, and you think about like the hard stuff that I've gone through, like from the divorce to the fall to like being fired from a church twice, like the same church twice, like when I can look back at all of that and I can see the hand of God in every transition for my life, that God was up to something, even when it didn't feel good, or even when I didn't see it as like a God thing. God was up to something. But that comes from that eternal like security, like, man, God really chose me, and he's not a man that he should lie, and he's a promise keeper, and that he means what he says about me and what he's called me to do. And I want to end this with this thought here, but I feel like if youth workers understood that God chose me, the average tenure for a youth pastor wouldn't be 18 months anymore. Like, because like, I don't feel like God chooses people for a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I think it's our own immaturity. And I mean, I may sound like the old guy here, right? But it's like our own immaturity, our own ambition, our own like, that gets people to move out of place prematurely. And it doesn't mean that people shouldn't move on. Right. I was talking to Brandon the other day, and shout out to Brandon, just transitioned after 9 years here at RAG.
Sheesh.
And he was going to transition earlier a couple times. Right. What he learned by staying. He was thanking me for on the phone. Like, and not because I've taught him something. It's just the lessons that God, like when you don't leave prematurely, God develops something in you. It's the calling, it's the maturity. It's the like, now you get to walk into what he's calling you to walk into equipped and ready and like, So anyway, sorry, I got into
no,
like
absolutely. That's why I take pride in the fact that I'm going on 4 years here. Cause man, like when, I remember when I first got hired here, Kevin Bogingo, he did the one of the interviews with me, and one thing he said when we looked at my resume, he was like, "Man, like I feel like every year you're jumping to a new job," and it was a fact. Like I was just, and mind you, these were just like warehouse jobs and that, but that was like my kind of the culture of like who Pablo was. Like I didn't last nowhere for a year just because I would be somewhere for a year and then something else would entertain me, and then I'd be like, oh man, this pays more. Boom, let's move over here. Let's jump here. Let's jump there. I remember even when I was a youth pastor, I would get hit up from like other people in ministry, like, hey, this place is hiring and they're doing X, Y, and Z. And I'd be like, whoa, like, no way. Like, and I would just look at that as, man, maybe this is God just telling me to move. Like, maybe this is God, like, wants me to, but yeah, there's so much that I've learned here, being here 4 years straight at RAG. Like, I've learned to trust God more. I've told you this, like, I've turned down job offers that pay more with all this and that. And I'm just like, man, I feel called here. You know, like, money is great, all that stuff, but man, every single semester that passes that we get to work with students, at the end of every semester, I'm like, man, this was so worth it. Like the driving that we do, right? We drive to schools, all this and that. Like, man, this was so worth it. And I love at the end of every semester seeing all these students with their families. They're like even when I never forget when we did celebration with Castro, like probably 2-3 years back. I remember his mom, so he's dressed all like loked up and like flannels, this and this. At the celebration, he had like a tucked in long sleeve, like with dress pants on. Nothing was baggy on him anymore. And I remember his mom came up to me and she was crying and she hugged me and she was like, man, thank you. And I just think about that, like, man, I mean, Castro, I mean, God is gracious, and I'm sure there would have been somebody else in his life if it wasn't me to kind of lead him, right? But I'm like, dang, like the fact that God allowed me to do this in his life, like I know when he's old and he has kids and he's successful, doing all and married, all that stuff, I know he's gonna look back and be like, man, like I'm so glad I met Pablo, and that's all I want, man. Like for God to use me in that way. And so when it comes to like the 10 year now, like man, I want to be here for the long run. I remember we did the our staff retreat last year, and we did our 5-year plan. And I think that for me was like, no, I want to be here longer, because I said, if everything that we have listed out, what we're going to do the next 5 years, if this actually happens, I'm going to be pissed if I'm not there. I'm not part of RAG, right? Like, I'm going to be really upset. And so, So that was just, raw thoughts from conversations that we've had and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's just important that, like, when you look at what contributes to immaturity, one of the antidotes is like what's the Lord called you to? And it's funny because Scripture makes it clear that many are called but few are chosen.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of if God is calling, because I feel like He's calling everybody, or He calls a lot of people, right? But it's like, what do you say yes to?
Right.
And how committed is your yes? And how long does that yes last? And was it Noah that said, like, I go until God says no?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like literally, like, go until God says no.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of what, and I think that's what a called person does.
Yeah.
Like, man, great. We're obedient, and, obedience don't feel good all the time.
Right.
But you go until God says no, and you trust God in the process. And so, hey, look, if you are a youth worker out there, man, we're praying for you.
Yeah.
And we know there's a lot of pressures in life and ministry and fatigue and tired and pain and trauma and your own story. And maybe if you've gone through some church stuff, like, none of it feels good. And if you would allow it, God would use it to mature you. I love James. Just count it all joy when you go through tests, trials, circumstances, because when you're patient in that, God will perfect you, like perfect the things that are concerning you. And there's just a level of perfecting that if I just kind of zoom out of our conversation here, that's what I feel the underlining conversation here is like, God is still perfecting His people.
Yeah.
And He does it best when you're fully committed and surrendered. If you're playing the teeter-totter game, am I in or out? It's hard to perfect something like that. Things can get perfected when there's commitment, when there's like all in, when there's yes. And this is what it feels like God is up to here at RAG. And I would invite you to consider, where is God perfecting you at? And how is He maturing you in the season? Because I could say this for sure. This generation, they don't need a fragmented version of you.
Right.
They need a healed you. They need a perfected you. They need a you that said yes to the call and meant it and didn't leave when it got uncomfortable or things didn't go your way. And so hopefully you took away some things from our conversation. But man, we're here. We're cheering you on. We're in your corner, and can't wait to see you at any of our events or just online. I would love for you to drop a comment, a like, a share. Would love to connect with you. Maybe actually we'll do that. We'll spend some time in this next season really connecting with those that are following. And thank y'all for tuning in. This one went a little longer than it normally does, but I feel like it was a great conversation. Thanks, Pablo, for being here. All right, y'all. We will see y'all next time. Like, subscribe, share. Until next time.